So are things really that bad? Let's ask the new Wisconsin senator. He is an accountant. He is a successful businessman. And now he is a congressman who says the country is, quote, hurtling towards bankruptcy. Republican Senator Ron Johnson joining us from inside the Beltway. Senator, thanks for coming in. So do you think we could be heading for something worse than 2008?
Well, David, I mean, let's hope not. But the fact of the matter is we're not solving the problem here in Washington. And that's really why I ran for the U.S. Senate is, we are in serious financial situation here. There is no control on Washington spending. There's no priority. There's no limit to what Washington spends, and the only way we start fixing this problem is if we establish those limits.
You know, even Ben Bernanke was trying to put as much of a smiley face in the economy. That's part of what he does. He's a cheerleader for the economy. He was speaking on June 7th, and he said, until we see a sustained period of stronger job creation, and these are his words, we cannot consider the recovery to be truly established. So he doesn't even believe the recovery's here.
Well, it sure doesn't feel like a recovery's here. And, because of his incredibly loose monetary policy, it feels like inflation is here as well. And I know we don't always score it that way, but when you've got gas prices still hovering around $4 a gallon, and you just take a look at commodity prices, food prices, and everything else, it feels pretty painful here.
Well, it certainly does to us. It does to you. I was just up in Cape Cod. It does to the folks up there. But this is what Congressman Debbie Wasserman Schultz says about who's responsible for all this. She says, we own the economy. We own the beginning of the turnaround. And these, again, her words, we want to make sure that we continue the pace of that recovery. I don't want to continue the pace of the recovery. I want a pace that's a lot bigger than the pace that we have now with 9% unemployment.
Sure, listen, President Obama came into office in a pretty tough situation. The problem is he made it worse. He made it far worse. Instead of relying on the American people, on what made this country great, freedom and the free enterprise system, he embarked on this Keynesian economic experiment, and he spent $4 trillion that we don't have. That's how much he's added to our debt. His budget for the next 10 years would increase our debt by another $13 trillion. So, I mean, the fact of the matter is, and this is what is most disappointing here in Washington, is President Obama has been showing no leadership. He's basically been phoning it in on the economy. And we need leadership in this country. There's only one person who can sign a bill into law out of 307 million Americans, and that's the President of the United States. We need to get him engaged in preventing the bankruptcy of America.
Well, to tell you the truth, he's signed too many things into law for my money, and it is my money, and it's a lot of my money. That's one of your platforms. You want to cut, you want to make it a law that would prohibit Congress and the president from spending more than, what, 18.8% of the GDP?
Yeah, I mean, we have to establish the limits. So really what we're talking about on our side of the aisle is, we're going to have to cut some spending to lower the baseline. We need to establish hard caps, statutorily, initially. And that would put us on a glide path toward a balanced budget. And let's face it, long-term revenue generation is about 18.8% of our economy. But then I really believe we're going to need a constitutional amendment that is going to limit the size, the scope, and the cost of government. I prefer just a simple spending limit that would limit the size of government to, again, that long-term revenue generation of 18.8% versus a balanced budget amendment. I know it sounds better, but the problem with the balanced budget amendment, can you think of how hard it would be to ever cut taxes under that regimen?
Right.
So again, I just kind of like the simplicity of a spending limitation that is identical to the statutory spending limit that we have to do in the interim till we get that constitutional limitation.
Well, generally I like your idea, but the thing that affects small business, and nobody knows this better than you do because you had a small business, the thing that affects small business is their concerns, not necessarily about this deficit debt, which they don't completely have their head around, but the fact that their regulations have increased directly, the fact that they know that their health care costs, their premiums have gone up, and God knows what's going to happen when Obamacare is fully implemented. They are afraid that their taxes are going to go up. I mean, this is what is preventing businesses from hiring, correct?
Oh, absolutely, David. Listen, if you could start over, I mean, if you could wave a magic wand, you would take the entire Obama agenda and wipe it off the table. I mean, but that's unfortunately not going to happen, at least not in the next 18 months. So when I talk about the size, the scope of government, that's where I'm talking about the regulation. And every day I'm meeting with with hardworking Wisconsin business people that are coming in and talking about whether it's the EPA or OSHA, you know, trying to enforce some other onerous regulation that is destroying their business. So when you limit the size of government, you know, you would rein in those regulatory agencies as well, but I am totally in agreement with you. Regulation is snuffing out this economy. It's got to stop.
By the way, 2 Minnesotans running for president, Michelle Bachmann and Tim Pawlenty. Who do you favor?
Well, listen, we've got a long way to go.
I knew you weren't going to give me an answer on that one.
Sure. But no, I mean, that's what the primary process is for, and it will separate, you know, the people that really have a chance. And it is so important that we replace President Obama because he just doesn't understand how the economy works. He's blaming ATM machines because he doesn't understand that really what we need to do in our economy is innovate. Yeah. You know, that is how we propel our economy forward, by making it more efficient. And we have a president, we have an administration that simply doesn't understand basic economics, basic business principles, and that's sad.
Well, we're glad for all the business people that are in Congress, whether Republicans or Democrats. You're one of them, Senator Ron Johnson. Thank you very much for coming in. Appreciate it.